what I have been tasked now to do is run the CPEC Center. अच्छा, अब CPEC Center में जो है, this was established in PIDE a while ago, but unfortunately, it became a football. यहाँ से ये बाहर चला गया. They tried to set up an independent entity because पैसे थे. They couldn't. Then they got to the CPEC authority. वहाँ से भी नहीं चला. Then they went to the planning commission. वहाँ से भी नहीं चला. Employees तो बड़े थे, पैसे काफी खर्च हुए. But now they've Iqbal wants PIDE to run it again. So we are quite happy to try and put some meat on it. But as I said, मुझे कुछ नहीं पता इसके बारे में. So I'd like to hear from you. You people have been working on CPEC issues, China-Pakistan issues. So I think मेरी hope ये है कि we can all collaborate to learn from each other and to try and put some meat on this CPEC agenda. But I would much rather that we do it collaboratively. PIDE knows little about it and has no monopoly on it. So we are very happy to collaborate with you and talk to you. तो इस वजह से ये meeting call की थी कि हम एक collaborative agenda बनाएं. We should sit and talk about it collaboratively. So with that in mind, I would like to begin. And Dr. Talat Shabir has to go early. So Dr. Saab, please, I'll hand the mic over to you, and then whoever wants to come in, please just raise your hand and you give us an idea what you're doing, what you expect, how we can help you, how we can collaborate with you, what you think the CPEC Center should do. Thank you. Talat Shabir, sir.
Thank you very much, sir, for having me on this very important forum. And I can see very important names on China-Pakistan relations as well as CPEC. I would, in the context, like to make few observations, and I would also like to make few assertions. Since I'm affiliated to China-Pakistan Study Center at Institute of Strategic Studies for the last 4 years. So working on China-Pakistan relations necessarily these days means that we are working on CPEC as well. So there are a few points, there are a few observations about how we are creating knowledge on CPEC and how we are using that knowledge. So there are two aspects of CPEC in my assessment. The first aspect is the implementation of CPEC projects. So we, in last 7 years, we have seen that there were huge problems with regards to implementation of various projects. The second most important thing that I think is the advocacy on CPEC. So when in the context of CPEC, I normally say it's research and advocacy, and of course, implementation, for which onus is not on think tanks and thinkers. Basically, we only advocate ideas, and we implementation part is not what think tanks or institutions are looking at. So I traveled a lot. I traveled to China also. When you travel in Pakistan, you find that CPEC has less visibility with general public. So I think we need to take, from advocacy point of view, we need to take CPEC to everyone in Pakistan, and we should tell them that this is the project of your prosperity, and this is the project which promises economic development of Pakistan. This is about general masses, but if you talk of scholarship on CPEC, I think we as scholars also, we are unclear, not very clear, or maybe unclear is a little offensive word, but we are not very clear on future trajectory and current status of various happenings of CPEC. And we also find that there's very less projection or information in public domain. That is where we find that there's a room for propagandists and those people who are trying to undermine CPEC. They succeed, and they are successful in telling people that, look, CPEC has stopped, it has slowed down. and various other, phrases that are used for CPEC. There's a lot of disinformation that we all know, and there's a lot of propaganda on CPEC, which needs to be countered. And one thing that I noted for the last 4 years that I was affiliated to CPEC and China-Pakistan relations, that debate on CPEC is only Islamabad-centric. We talk, we hold seminars, we hold symposiums, we hold conferences, we hold meetings, in our discussions. Everything happens mostly in Islamabad, and the debate has not been able to be taken out of Islamabad, for which I suggested various stakeholders that we must take CPEC out of Islamabad, and we should hold seminars, interactions, and tours to areas where CPEC projects are being built, and we should interact with people and tell them this is how CPEC is undertaken. Lack of clarity, I mentioned. Coordination challenge. There are coordination challenges, and probably there is a overlap of responsibility. Like, for example, there are 15 think tanks that we gathered at Institute of Strategic Studies in 2020, and we tried to bridge the gap between the think tanks, and we thought that all of those institutions or think tanks working on China-Pakistan relations or CPEC should sit together, and ISSI can probably mention that we held 2 conferences, one of China-Pakistan study centers in Pakistan, and the other conference we held was from Pakistan study centers in China. So that was kind of 2 activities that we undertook. We tried to make sure that we all are one page with regards to CPEC. Sometimes I feel there's a problem with regard to the outlook. For example, Chinese view CPECs differently. We view CPEC differently. Chinese, when you are Chinese, you're connected with Chinese scholarship. They, from the concept to development of CPEC, they have different viewpoint, and of course we have different viewpoint. They have different, mode of development, and we have, of course, different mode of development. They are very fast-paced model of development, and we are very lukewarm model of development. So that's kind of problem that we shared with every one of them, and that was a good exercise that we carried out. So a few recommendations that I want to make, very quick, precise recommendation, that we must coordinate research as well as advocacy on CPEC. And for that, the 16, 17 think tanks that are working on China, Pakistan, and CPEC, they must have close coordination. Like, I try to maintain close coordination with the various think tanks across Pakistan, and we hold regular meetings. And so I think that activity needs to be enhanced if we want to really do research and advocacy on CPEC. There is overlapping of issues. For example, if a study center in Peshawar or a study center in Quetta, they're working on. So sometimes I feel there's overlapping as well, because there's one project and it is talked about by everybody across Pakistan, but sometimes overlapping is good also, because sometimes repetition of few things is also, I think, good. It's not a problem. I suggested, and now I recommend to this forum, that we must organize visits to CPEC projects, and visits by academia, business community, media, and students and youth. Recently, my center took a delegation to Gwadar, and we talked to almost all the segments, all the components who are working in Gwadar, civil administration, military, everybody. And we also went to university. So it was 11-member delegation taken to Gwadar. And on when we came back, all of the delegates, they contributed their observations, their reflections, and we prepared a report on Gwadar, and in which we have recommended some measures by federal government, some measures by provincial government, and some measures by the stakeholders of Gwadar. And I will surely share that report. We have launched that report at Chinese Embassy, and I'll share that report with Dr. Liaqat for the information of all of you. Similarly, other than Gwadar, I think there's a need to take various people to other CPEC projects, so that when they go there, they come back and they talk about it, and that is how I think we can project CPEC. There's a need to actively engage academia, business community is the major stakeholder in CPEC, and media, of course, because sometimes it's very important to coordinate with media for various activities on CPEC. I also suggest and recommend regular media briefings on CPEC. Now, that can be done by Planning Commission, that can be done by PIDE, that can be done by anybody, but there has to be, I think, fortnightly briefing on CPEC projects for media, and there should be a detailed press release fortnightly for the information of the general public. As I mentioned, we must take discourse outside Islamabad, and for that we can collaborate with provincial think tanks, institutions in provincial capitals and elsewhere in Pakistan. For instance, when I thought of this taking CPEC outside Islamabad, I even suggested a couple of meetings, interactions in small cities like, Rahim Yar Khan and Ladkana and Interior Sindh and in Southern Punjab and KP and in Kashmir. So I think the discourse on CPEC must be taken outside Islamabad, and people at large should be briefed and told about how we can benefit from CPEC. So my humble submissions that I made, they relate to first advocacy of what CPEC has for us as Pakistanis, and how can we implement those projects that are undertaken under CPEC. So I think with these suggestions, I think many of my colleagues and seniors would agree with what I said, and we can then formulate a comprehensive recommendation package for all of us. And Institute of Strategic China-Pakistan Studies Center at the Institute of Strategic Studies is there to extend any kind of help that is required by anyone across Pakistan. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Tayyib Saab. Thank you. I think very, very good remarks, very good thoughts indeed. Let's move on, Ji. Anybody else wants to say something, please?
My name is Nasir, Dr. Nasir Afghan. And I am looking after the China Studies Center, Karachi, IBA. And I'm very grateful to you, Dr. Nadeem, for arranging this, meeting and dialogue. And it's wonderful to see so many people, and we are sharing each other ideas and how to move forward. My affiliation with the CPEC is started from 2015, and we visited China. I used to do a course to visit China every year. So we took around 18-20 students. We visit China, different cities and different industries. And first time we heard about China CPEC, Pakistan-China Economic Corridor, was in 2015, December in China, from one of the Chinese professor. So we learned that, this project is now started in Pakistan. So we arranged a conference in 2016 and then 2017 on CPEC, jointly with Shanghai University. Now, actually, the CPEC, one view about CPEC is dead. Many people are, and when they ask me, Nasir Saab, what do you think about what is happening in CPEC? I usually tell them nothing is happening. It's gone. We have lost the opportunity. And why I'm saying this, as Nadeem Saab also said that, CPEC Center was a football. And it still is, Ahsan Iqbal, we met Ahsan Iqbal when he was a planning commission chairman in the first time. And then they set up Dr. Safdar from, he was there in PIDE, like Nadeem Saab is now looking after. And then the new government came and they say, stop. Razak Daud said that, stop everything on CPEC for 1 year. I think it was a very wrong signals to everyone. And this is the political side. Academic side, I think a lot of the paper has been written on CPEC, logistic, transportation, industries. I think a lot of work has been done by universities. ऐसा नहीं है कि हमने काम नहीं किया, बहुत published हुआ है. Papers आपको बहुत मिल जाएंगे CPEC के ऊपर, हर areas के ऊपर. लेकिन unfortunately ना उसकी implementation कोई नहीं हुई है. We did a report for Dhabeji. We were part of the Dhabeji research project by Sindh government. Lekin Dhabeji kahan hai? Nothing is happening in Dhabeji. We make a wrong choices about SEZ. We decided to set up SEZ first priority area, Rakashi, KPK. No industry came from China. So unfortunately, the policy makers hain, the decision maker hain, they don't listen to think tanks. They don't consider think tanks as valuable information, because in think tank role is to provide policy makers research and ideas and suggest them what they should do. But unfortunately, Pakistan में ये बिल्कुल नहीं होता इस तरह. हमें तो ये experience रहा है. और दूसरा CPEC को हमने बिल्कुल फुटबॉल बना दिया है. कभी CPEC अथॉरिटी बनाते हैं, नहीं बनाते, कभी BOI को दे देते हैं, फिर BOI अपना काम कर रही है. तो I think we are not really focused on CPEC. As a nation, we have almost lost the opportunity. Chinese industries, they wanted us to help them, in Dhabeji. They say, please help us. We want to set up industries here. So, but unfortunately, so I think what we should do as an academician now, more or less, this is my personal experience working for the last, you can say 7-8 years on CPEC, is that, we must focus now, the second phase of CPEC, that was the industrialization. We should pick one SEZ, not 7, not 9. We make one SEZ successful. And the most important SEZ for the successful implementation of the CPEC industrial second phase would be Dhabeji, in my opinion. I mean, you can disagree with me. I have no problem with that. Because Chinese think that, that location is ideal for export industries if they set up the industry there. So second, we need support from Chinese, and we should do some research on the agriculture productivity. In Pakistan, we are losing a lot of land to development through societies and so on, but we seriously need to do research on how to increase our agriculture productivity and what we can learn from China. We recently did a book on red chili value chain analysis in Sindh from Kunri. We wanted to understand how can we increase our chili export to China. So we wanted to identify agriculture products that can we help our productivity and also to export to China. So we need to find opportunities to do research. What can we export to China through CPEC, because we have our advantages. Number 2 area is actually what I realized is the industry relocation. We did a lot of work on industry relocation. We met Chinese industries in China, different cities. They are not interested to come to Pakistan. They were saying that send your people to us. I mean, work laborers. They say, for us it's not easy to work into this country in Pakistan. Law and order is not very good. labor is not as we want. So they think there was a lot of challenges for the Chinese industries to come and set up industries in Pakistan. And you know that, they didn't came a lot of them went to Vietnam, Cambodia, and other countries in the region where they have more suitable situations. So I think industrialization phase is not really happening and this is a challenge. Maybe we should focus, how can we attract Chinese industries to come to Pakistan, and why they will come to Pakistan, and how can we can retain them in Pakistan. That is an area that I think we must focus as a research scholars, and helps government to make those policies decisions. And the third area that I think very important for us is the climate change. You see, because of the climate change, we have a huge flooding last year in the same area. And we lost a lot of water, and we can learn from China how they have managed the flooding and the water management systems. How can we make the drainage system for Pakistan? How can we use that water to increase our productivity and agriculture, and also the climate related changes, that how they are managing it. I think that's area we can learn and maybe do some research, maybe a conference and so on. So one is the industrial relocation part, which we must focus as a researchers. The second is the agriculture productivity and agriculture technology, agriculture management, farm management, and export-oriented agriculture items. That would, I think we should, as a research institutes, we should focus. And the third is the climate change. I think climate change is an important factor for us as economy. We need to look at it. How are we going to, हमारी productivity वैसे इतनी मुतासिर हो गई है, हमारी productivity पंजाब, इंडिया के पंजाब से भी बहुत कम हो गई है. So I think these three areas, I think, very crucial. The last idea that I've been floating for a long time, and that is we should encourage few Chinese universities to set up full-fledged campuses in Pakistan. India recently allowed MIT and Oxford and other universities to set up campuses in India because they think that, rather than going Indian students abroad, bring that knowledge and expertise into India. I think this is what we must be doing. We discussed this in one of the last CPEC consortium conference when Dr. Sattar Ali Shah and Dr. General Asghar was present, that we should encourage the Chinese universities to come to Pakistan and train people that they want to train for their industries, because they are saying that we don't have that same manpower which can help them to set up industries here. So it's better that we Pakistani universities not just working joint research project, but also Chinese university coming to Pakistan and setting up their own campuses, and we can learn and we can work with them actually on this different ideas. So these are the 3-4 ideas I would suggest that we should focus at a center of excellence. I was also part of the center of excellence when it was in PIDE and then when it was independent. And I'm glad that it is back to PIDE now. And I'm glad that, Dr. Nadeem will be leading that. So hopefully, inshallah, we can learn from each other and share our ideas. Thank you very much, Dr. Nadeem.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Let me bring in Scarlett from NUST. Scarlett.
Okay, assalamu alaikum, and my dear friends, and dear Mr. Tufail, really glad to have this meeting over here. And Dr. Nadeem, really glad to have you here. And actually, I want to say one thing first. I totally agree on Dr. Nasir Afghan. I totally agree on what he said. Before I deliver the speech, I want everybody to watch a video, which I already prepared over here. This is Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka national account selling gemstone in China.
所以我又没有直接给你卖，我有好多宝石，但
They
是
are
你
from
把
Sri
这个
Lanka.
机会挂住
This
讲
is a
就好了
selling.
啊。我们下一个宝石能准备了
A
吗？
few
好，
seconds
还有一
is
个漂
sold.
亮的粉，0.84克拉无烧的
All of this
颜色
from
好
Sri
看的
Lanka.
一个粉蓝宝。这个也是纯净的，颜色渣质比较少的，
That one
烧
sold
的
in 3 seconds.
0.84克拉，价格没到2000块钱
He's speaking in
，1880元。
Chinese.
准备上链接，3、2、1，上链接。
3, 2, 1 means 3, 2, 1, then for sale. And now it's sold. So first of all, I want to share this video, and then I would like to share my small PPT. Well, today I want to explain one thing. It's about a new era for the cooperation between China and Pakistan. Why we call it a new era? Because everything we have done before does not really affect it in our own life, especially Pakistan economy. So, we want to see after COVID, we need to change our logic for cooperating with China. So here is my suggestions. I totally agree on Mr. Nasir, his idea. Chinese companies are actually not coming. But the thing is, we cannot wait for Chinese companies to come. Instead of that, my first suggestion is we can bring delegation to China to each city. The thing is in China, like which we show the Sri Lanka guys, and also we have the national account for Russia, South Korea, and some other countries, even Serbia. They can bring what do they have in Pakistan, in their own country, directly to Chinese people. You know, by this way, Chinese people nowadays even do not have a TV. And most of the universities, they do not use email frequently. Because in China, the whole system is different. Actually, my dear Mr. Tahir, I'm sorry, I cannot pronounce your name correctly. And my dear Mr. Nadeem, the thing is today, the meeting, we could use Woo instead of Zoom. Woo is created by China. Woo have the function and the logic according to Chinese. So if we are cooperating with China, I sincerely suggest, let us change our logic a little bit. Let us do some revolution. We go to China. I prepared around 17 government from China side, which they want us to give a presentation offline over there and to tell the Chinese companies we have good chances in Pakistan and no fair Karachi, no fair Pakistan. You can come, you have security and all of this information. So the first suggestion is instead of sitting here having meeting with China, we could bring delegation directly go to China. I prepared 17 government. They will bring all the companies, factories in front of us and we can negotiate with them. So the second thing is about reputation. Chinese people love Pakistan. May Pakistan se pyar karte ho. Unfortunately, most Chinese people, they don't know Pakistan that much. So this love is based on the history, not based on the reality, what we are happening now. So what I want is that we can put Pakistan movie, video, TV, those kind of things go to China. Unfortunately, due to some country doing something on purpose, nowadays in China, only one TV series from Pakistan can be played. And that TV series is called BUITEMS, which is banned in Pakistan. It's not legal to play that movie in Pakistan, but it is sent by some country to China. So we need Pakistan voice. Do you know in China, the biggest flu belongs to China TikTok, China Douyin, China Kuaishou, China 西瓜视频, and China 抖音视频. But 5 of them, we don't have our national account. Not even Karachi University, Lahore University, we have 6 China study centers. None of us has a page over there. We need to push China government to give us the gate. We want to put our voice into China. Pakistan is not like that. Pakistan do not have this problem. So let Chinese people know us, then from know to love. Because I am the person sitting over here, 61 person in this meeting. I'm the person who knows China best. I know when China people know us, they will love us from the bottom of their heart. Third thing is revolution. A few days ago, I got the information. Pakistan, due to the IMF payment problem, again banned so many products from importing from China. They use a way to put 300 times of tax on the product, which is not reasonable. It's not saying for China. It's actually from our ex-chairman of China, Mr. Deng Xiaoping. The thing is, for economy to grow, for CPEC to be successful, we need first allow everything to start trading. Then we can manage everything afterwards. And after that, we will have the law, complete law to manage it. It's not like from the beginning, we think we can manufacture cable. So we ban China cable, Turkish cable, American cable. We manufacture by ourselves. It will increase our base cost for each company and each society. This is not the right way. So we open, my small, humble suggestion, we open our mind. We allow those things to be traded. I give one example. Jiangsu province in China even open for national museum to sell their collections. National museum can sell collections on TikTok. But we can ban those forbidden Gandhara Buddha. But we can allow some cultural things like beads or something go to China. And after a period, we can start to manage that. I know my conversation and my speech will be a little bit uncomfortable, but I'm telling the truth. I want CPEC to happen. That's why I traveled 7,000 kilometers away to come to this country. So last suggestion is interdimensional thinking. We in China already have so many methods, like that, like this one which I just showed. This one. Do you know that when people are watching in this TV, there is a system which is paying the money. In China, you walk dala, 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 every day. You drink water 8 cups a day. You eat meals 3 meals a day. You sleep 8 hours a day. All of these actions are paid. You can ask any Chinese people. We have around 3,000 software which you open, you report you're walking, they will pay you money. There is a whole logic behind it, a financial logic behind it. This is Zhongchou mode. In Pakistan, we have the resources to start this mode. One example, Gilgit-Baltistan. We have the best tourism resources. After the second reputation change and the first delegation in China, cooperating with China tourism companies, we can start our tourism in GB, Gilgit-Baltistan. But how to make the local people earn money, understand China better, and have more cooperation? Because no matter lab or factory or whatever we want, it's based on communication. We can use Zhongchou mode. Let Chinese people rise the yacht in GB. Because Chinese people are rising the yacht in Tibet. They do not need to go by mobile. They're paying money to rise a yacht. We have so many modes. We have PPP mode and FT mode. Selling the Gandhara Buddha is illegal, but selling the photo intellectual patent is legal. And China government is selling this successfully. And all of this mode, I sincerely request, my dear meeting holders, we can open our mind and do some intermediation thinking, and we can change a little bit. For all above, China Study Center in National University of Science and Technology has prepared everything. I would like to cooperate with other China Study Centers and open the bridge for everyone. Please kindly contact us. I'm Scarlett, I'm from China. May Pakistan support continue. Pakistan Dosti Zinabad. Shukriya.
Thank you very much, Scarlett. Thank you very much. Very good thoughts. Mustafa Sayyid Saab.
Thank you very much for the invitation. And congratulations on this great galaxy of speakers from across the country and for this pertinent initiative that you've taken at a time where China has just opened up after 3.5 years of the COVID-19 pandemic. And thank you, Liaqat Saab, as well, for coordinating and inviting the Pakistan-China Institute to participate in this dialogue, which is the oldest serving think tank since 2009 that focuses exclusively on the Pakistan-China relationship. And Dr. Nadeem, आपके साथ गायबाना तारफ बहुत है, मैं हाजिर भी होऊंगा, लेकिन बाज़ाब्ता मुलाकात हमारी नहीं हुई है. Sorry, I can't.
Love to see you, Mustafa. I know your parents very well, so we must meet, inshallah. Thank you.
Certainly. Firstly, I would like to, before I delve into my 2 cents, I'd like to comment on some of the earlier speakers like Mr. Nasir Afghan, who made some very interesting points. I think one of the things that we need to stop doing or refrain from is talk about CPEC as if it's a monolithic project. CPEC is not a car going on a motorway, which is either slow or fast or sort of in the middle, hanging in the middle. CPEC, as we all know, and I'm preaching to the converted, but it's important to remind ourselves often that CPEC has a galaxy of projects, many different projects of power, infrastructure, transportation, and now agriculture and SEZs in the second part, which are on a case-by-case basis on a different stage, because each project is independent of the other project. The energy projects, as Liaqat Shah Saab knows, are between the National Energy Agency, NEA, and the Ministry of Energy of Pakistan. The railway ML1 is between the National Railway of China and our side. So all the different projects are on different stages. So when we say that CPEC has slowed down or CPEC has, faced this, we are making a very big sweeping statement, which has a lot of connotations. But the fact of the matter is that there are different projects at different stages. So I think we should, whenever we talk about CPEC, it should be a little more specific and more nuanced. And when we also talk about the second phase, I think it's important to compare and contrast. In Pakistan, we are used to a lot of optics, a lot of inaugurations, a lot of photo ops, a lot of fancy projects. So the first phase of CPEC was that big ticket items, big power projects. The Sattar to Multan motorway, which was the biggest infrastructure project done within CPEC, a big milestone of the government. And then there was the Gwadar port, where China Overseas Port Holding developed the industrial zone there. Now, the second part of CPEC doesn't have those big ticket items. It is what I call soft connectivity. For example, chili peppers are being harvested now within the framework of CPEC. It's being financed by the Habib Bank, HBL, and it's being exported to China. It is soft connectivity. Rashakai Special Economic Zone concession agreement was signed in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and Century Steel has located there, Chinese steel company, to manufacture, warehouse, and eventually export. So this soft connectivity doesn't show up on the news as much as the first phase of the CPEC projects did, because those were more, fancier projects. They had more of a, media presence because they were big, and there was a lot of, delegations coming for those. The soft connectivity is equally important, if not more, because when we talk about Pakistan's economic woes, what we need is an export-led growth model that we keep on talking about. And the only real player in town who's choosing to come to Pakistan, despite the financial issues, the political instability, and also some of the security aspects, is China, where they can actually relocate their industry to Pakistan. Particularly in M2, in the Islamabad industrial Park, in the Allahabad Industrial Park in Punjab. There's good companies which have already located and are working on it. So when we talk about the narrative of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, it's very important to be very clear on what we are talking about and also manage our expectations accordingly. Third, I think the role of think tanks, which is the letter which was forwarded to me by my dear friend Liaqat Shah, on the what should be the role of think tanks on both sides. And this is a very critical question that I want to address. We have to anticipate with evidence-based research of what are the economic market trends of Pakistan 20 years from now. What specific kind of investments we need to solicit from China. Though that is the role of think tanks in Pakistan. Because frankly speaking, when you talk about CPEC, it's predominantly investment coming from China into Pakistan. So when we talk about energy investments, renewable energy, we are talking about, there's a debate on renewable energy and on a lot of solar parks we want to make all of a sudden. We have to assess, analyze, and make sure that the decision makers receive that report. And that is something that we do here at the Pakistan-China Institute. Liaqat Sahab, you've been part of majority of the dialogues and the meetings that we have. Recently, the green climate change meeting that we held is that these investments, are they required? Do we need more energy investment? Or do we have energy sufficiency? Do we need more investment in a grid and transmission? Because from my basic understanding, I'm not an energy expert, we have a lot of energy projects, but the problem is with power evacuation. Evacuating that energy, because the power projects are new, but the transmission and grid infrastructure is outdated. So they are not at par. So we produce a lot of electricity, but the transmission infrastructure cannot carry that load. It cannot carry the megawatts. Each project is 1320 megawatts. Port Qasim, Sahiwal, and now we have Karot, which has gone online, and Thar, of course. So we need to be able to absorb this influx of energy, which is being generated through these power plants. So I think the investment should be redirected on a BOT basis to transmission lines. And Lahore to Matiari is a good example of transmission cooperation that has been done on a BOT basis, recently concluded, despite many challenges, which was undertaken by State Grid, and we need many more like that. And furthermore, I think the role of think tanks should also be on rejecting this propaganda against China that we see. The narrative that we see about China as an East India company. And this is part of the containment of China that we see emanating from certain quarters in the West, where they say that the threat of the red dragon taking over the world, terrifying the people in the global South of this employment will go away, the economic sovereignty will go away, you know, and there's this whole, but the fact of the matter, and I want to quote a few articles which are very close to my heart, and I really enjoyed reading them. And these are sources not from Pakistan or China. These are very well researched articles. One is of the Washington Post. It's about Belt and Road investments in Africa. And Shah Sahab, I would highly recommend that you read this. It's called US Policymakers Get China in Africa All Wrong. It was published in the Washington Post, and it was undertaken by a group of researchers, students from Johns Hopkins University, who actually visited the Belt and Road projects in Africa. They conducted primary interviews with local community there, with the Chinese, and then made an independent assessment of what is their analysis. And they said that there is no debt. There is no debt, and there's actually been progression rather than regression after those projects were established. Secondly, the Atlantic, Washington-based think tank published a very important paper on Chinese Belt and Road investments again. And it was called, this was 3 years ago, the Chinese debt trap is a myth. And they compared investments from other countries in China and what the debt is. And third, if I can quote myself, I co-authored a paper, Where is the Money Going? And it was published in the National University of Singapore's Journal of Infrastructure. And I actually, me and my co-author for the Chattha, it was a pleasure to really work on it because we actually compared, and I can share that study of the financing from the Bretton Woods institutions and the financing from Chinese institutions. And clinical comparison of how that affects countries like Pakistan. And the study is called Where's the Money Going? And what we established was that it's actually sustainable and feasible. And we gave the example of the orange line in Lahore, which is a 2.39% interest rate over the course of 20 to 30 years. There's a 10-year grace period, and there's a 6% cynosure insurance because of the country risk profile that is spread over the payment period of 20 years. Right? So data-oriented. Let's talk with data and numbers when we talk about China. And the last and final point that I would like to make is that I would like to invite, and I see that there are some friends here also in the audience. Dr. Arfa is there, who's a great friend and who's done great work on the CPEC. There are others. Whoever is in Karachi, we are going to be organizing as part of the 10-year anniversary of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, visits to certain CPEC projects. And those who are in Karachi are welcome to join. Please contact me. Liaqat Sahab has my digits. We are going to go to certain projects in Sindh, in the southern part of CPEC, and actually take different stakeholders, including media and parliamentarian policymakers and academics, to see what is the progress on CPEC. Because we keep on talking about CPEC in big ballrooms of hotels and in our offices, but we need to actually go and see where we are at when we talk about CPEC. And this will be done in the first week of February. So those who are in the vicinity of Sindh, please, more than welcome to join. Be happy to have you. And again, I would just like to say thank you to Dr. Nadeem for hosting this dialogue. And I'm very jealous. You have a beautiful view. You seem to be in a nice location with good weather and sunlight. So enjoy. I saw you doing some stretching as well. So I think you're really enjoying this seminar. But it was a pleasure. And I wish the best of luck for this initiative. And I look forward to having more dialogues with the Pakistan Institute of Development Economics.
Thank you, Mustafa. Thank you very much. We've got a lovely roof here, and we set up a roof office. So all of you are welcome to join us. We serve great food for Majid Khoka. So it's absolutely wonderful. Please join us. We welcome you. Absolutely. You will remember your mother was here too, so she'll tell you about Majid ka Khoka, which is very world famous, and inshallah we'll serve you great food. So look forward to having you here. I think you gave some excellent point.
Just sorry to interrupt. Majid ke Khoka's lobia and keema I've had the pleasure of having. Because mother was in the university, and Majid Saab himself was alive at that time, sir. And the lobia and keema inside the hut, mitti ka hut tha, it was fantastic. And wo aake aapke paas
Now, Majid's son is a graduate from PIDE. So, life moves on.
Which extends to the Majid ka Khoka.
Exactly. So we'll introduce you to the new Majid Khoka without PIDE graduate. Acha, Arfa Iqbal, former counselor in China. Arfa, please tell us what your views are. And you have to help us connect with China, Arfa.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my views. Yeah, okay. A few comments, very quick comments on the points made by Dr. Nasir, Scarlett, and my very dear friend Mustafa. As far as SEZs are concerned, Dr. Nasir suggested we should focus on one single SEZ to make it actually an example. I would say we already boiled down the number of SEZs in Pakistan from 39 to now prioritized 3 and 9 in the total list. Dhabaji has its own inherent problems, although that they have tried different models, but yet to see the success. Rashid-e, as Mustafa said, has followed a very good model of signing an agreement with Chinese company, though I make a little correction. Rashid-e is not a soft connectivity project. It's a very hardcore phase 1 project because SEZs had been in phase 1 as industrial cooperation. But very important point for SEZs is that we need to know the model that Chinese are following and the international best practices for SEZs. I have yet to see any SEZ model which is following the international best practices. Do we actually know what SEZ is? Taking the example of China, they have national SEZs, they have provincial SEZs, they have city level SEZs, they have private sector SEZs, they have public sector SEZs, they have single sector SEZ, they have multiple sector SEZs. So do we actually know how to design the infrastructure of an SEZ and how to follow the international best practices model? So that is important. That is the most important thing before we proceed. Then we talked about industrial relocation. 85 million jobs that China planned to relocate to regional countries because of multiple reasons, including their priority to go high tech and their priority to get rid of the labor intensive industry and their priority or their problem of high wages and many other issues. How many of those relocating jobs Pakistan had been able to attract in past so many years now? Mustafa is talking about 10 years of CPEC now. So how many of these 85 million jobs Pakistan could attract despite CPEC, despite political commitment, etc., etc.? I would say none. So we need to see the reason, as Mustafa said, and identified the role of think tanks. So future roadmap, yes. Right narrative, yes. But a very important missing link, where we went wrong in all different projects. I agree, CPEC is a galaxy of projects, but giving a sweeping statement that it is slowed down is not actually wrong, because all the galaxy of projects is going down. Yes, phase 1 gave us mixed results. Then we have to see which projects went well, which projects could not deliver. But yes, it has slowed down. Let's face it. Let's admit it so that we can plan for future. So going back, industrial relocation. And I would then also connect with what Scarlett said. Let's go to take delegations to China. I would say, please look at we don't need to reinvent the wheel. From 2014 till 18, 19, 20, hundreds and thousands of Chinese visited Pakistan and hundreds and thousands of Pakistani delegations, public sector, private sector visited China. What is the outcome? In one single business investment conference in 2016, November, Lahore, PC Hotel, I personally brought 200 plus Chinese in that conference. And 165 MOUs signed. How many projects materialized? So we have to go a little deeper into the reasons if we really want a success story to be there. The kind of visa problems Chinese are facing, the kind of lack of one window operation that we have in Pakistan, the kind of financial sector problems that Chinese companies are having. They cannot repatriate their capital. They cannot repatriate their profits. They cannot even repatriate the loans that they have taken from their parent companies outside Pakistan. And then we talk about an investment-friendly atmosphere. We need to address these issues to attract foreign investment and more so Chinese investment. We talk about chili export. Do we ever consider the requirements of AQSIQ, which is the quarantine agency in China? They take at least 1.5 to 2 years to approve any product. How many applications of Pakistan agriculture products are pending with AQSIQ is a serious question. If we do not take the first step, if we do not even apply for any of the products, when do we expect and how do we expect the export of our agriculture products to China? Because they will not accept the official export from Pakistan of any agriculture product, any livestock product, unless AQSIQ has approved the product. And it is done product-wise. It is not done country-wise. It is not done across the board that, okay, rice or chili or strawberries or cherries from Pakistan are allowed. No, they will identify which company can export any of these products. So we have to know the rules and regulations and start following them. Dr. Nasir also talked about the universities. We established a consortium of 3 universities in Tianjin and connected them with Punjab, and we proposed PTUT, Punjab Tianjin University of Technology. The original purpose of this university was to cater the demand of all vocational technical training which would be required by the CPEC projects in coming years. What happened to PTUT? It is still there, but it has no connection with China anymore. The Chinese connection is limited only to their name, Punjab Tianjin. What happened to that very good consortium of 3 universities from Tianjin? So I conclude by saying that we need to find out, figure out, identify the problems project-wise, sector-wise, and then connect our think tanks with think tanks in China and come up with the future roadmap. Thank you very much.
Excuse me, I want to interrupt a little bit.
Go ahead.
Dr. Alpha Iqbal, my dear Iqbal, I was there when you were in Beijing signing the 165 MOU. 3 of them belong to my company. None of them got approved from Pakistan side. The process gave us at least they gave us by written 36 months, which means 3 years. And I was there when you're talking about these capital things. I have money want to invest in Pakistan, and you don't have the rule and the law to accept my money from coming into Pakistan. Even my visa, I'm working for NUST as a public server. I was working for NUST, and in the airport around 3 weeks ago, your FIA stopped me and asked me for corruption. So I totally agree on Dr. Iqbal. We are really working in China, and about China economic zone from city level, provincial level, national level, you really know China. Now I take back my words. You know China even as good as me. When I was translating for you in the meeting in Kashgar for the quarantine and inspection contract between China and Pakistan for the cherries, for the fruits, that meeting, while I was doing that meeting, do you know till today it's not allowed to sell to China? So the demand from our side has been complained again and again. And I totally thank you for bringing these words out. Much better than me. Shukriya.
Thank you, Scarlett. And let me share, I still have those beautiful glass coasters that you gifted me when we met in Kashi. Thank you once again.
Please, Dr. Tufail. Okay, thank you, madam, for your nice comments. Now we, Dr. Mohammed Tufail, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Please, please.
First of all, I'd like to extend my thanks to Dr. Nadeem Saab and Liaqat Saab for having me in this very important discussion. I must admit that this is the first time that we have been made part of this very important discussion. So I would like to avail the opportunity of saying what we are doing. Obviously, there are a lot of discussions or talks been about the industry and the connection and all this stuff with reference to CPEC. But my focus would be onto the academic side. Since we at NUT University established the CPEC cell quite long ago, I mean, soon after, I suppose, launch of CPEC. So we had done some, I think, remarkable work, and that was mainly towards having a collaboration with Chinese partner universities. The few things that I would like to highlight upon are that initially, under the patronage of government, some of the universities from China, institutions visited us, visited Karachi rather, and then we had an opportunity to sign MOUs with almost all of them. And we tried to maintain a collaboration with them, but luckily, one of the university, Bauto University, which another institute, it was mainly working onto the railway engineering, they helped us a lot for developing our railway engineering program, because we had a feeling that ML1, following by subsequent other railway lines are coming in. So this railway engineering would be very important. So that's why NUT University developed this program of railway engineering along with NUTEC University. So we had developed the program, and of course we had developed the PC1. PC1 got approved for the Government of Pakistan Planning Commission. But unfortunately, since last 2 years, the release has already been made. But nonetheless, the program is very much there, and I must appreciate and acknowledge the support that we received from our Chinese partner universities. Apart from that, we have got another 4 set of universities who had an understanding with our textile engineering department, and they had offered fellowship to our faculty members. Our faculty members traveled all the way to China. They stayed there for 1 month each, and 10 of our students stayed there for a semester. So all this funding was carried out by these Chinese partner universities, which was, I think, a remarkable support from the Chinese universities. And afterwards, one of the university from China approached us, and they were having a very superb plan with our automotive engineering department. And I suppose this university had a collaboration with Xiang auto industry in China. And what their plan was that they wanted to train the employees of Xiang automotive industry in Pakistan in our premises, number one. Number two was that they wanted to establish a technology center wherein the new technologies would be explored and established and researched upon with the funding from the Chinese partner. And third one was joint research in the areas of mutual interest. So all these things that we had agreed upon, but something came up, and that problem was that we had to have an MOU signed with them. The problem is the Government of Pakistan has declared that you cannot sign an MOU without the approval of Government of Pakistan, and Government of Pakistan means the federal cabinet. So unfortunately, we sent this request to HEC. Obviously, it had to go to HEC, and then from there, the relevant ministry and the government. So this is impending. The MOU has not been signed, so we could not take it further. That was an important, very, very, I think, good opportunity that almost we had missed it, but we can still cash on it and we can avail it. But nonetheless, this institute helped us to arrange a training wherein the employees of the Xiang automotive industry attended, and our own employees of the department attended, and various other people from the community has also attended this training, and which was, I think, very useful training for those who had any plan to pursue the career in auto industry. So that's something that we had done. In Karachi University, that established Confucius Institute. We are having a collaboration with them. I think NUT University is the only university wherein Chinese language is mandatory for all the undergrad students to learn. So they are out of the 6 level of Chinese language, 2 level 1 and level 2 is mandatory for all of the students. And this is something that we're doing through Confucius Institute by their funding and all the support that they're doing. And similarly, Confucius Institute had supported us, and we had visited one of the university was there in China and we had also established kind of a collaboration with them. But somehow after this pandemic, we could not pursue it further. But here I must share an interesting point that I was the one who was leading the delegation. And over there, we observed that there's a school for the kids being run by that particular university. So I floated this idea that why can't we start having collaboration at the school level? Because we also had a school at our university. So they liked the idea and they agreed the idea. And initially we did do some homework, but obviously that could not be pursued because of this MOU stuff and all these things. So these are the few things that we had done. And I think the university to university level, there's a lot of potential that we had availed. We can further do it, but I would be having few of the suggestions. Number one is that I'd request that from this platform, if the government might be requested that any MOU that the universities would like to sign with the partner universities in China, then this authority might be given to HEC or any other body. Otherwise, taking a simple MOU to a federal cabinet would take ages. So this would be my first request, that it could be revisited. Secondly, a lot of institutions do approach us, but we do not have the credibility of the Chinese partner universities. So if there would be one window when we'd be establishing whether that particular university is credible or not, if that is something that could be done through this platform, that would be very much appreciated. And the third thing is that all these companies who are investing in different regions of Pakistan, they might be kind of compelled in a way that they would take the local universities on board as well. I must mention that very recently, one of the Chinese company who is establishing a wind park in Sindh province, they had kind of an understanding with us that they would like to take our university on board and for all the technical matters. So we are working on it, negotiating with them. So if all these industries who are working in Pakistan under CPEC, if they might be compelled to have and kind of that sort of thing to get the university engaged, I think that would help a lot. So these are the few submissions that I'd be having, and thank you again for giving me this opportunity to say my wordings. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah,
Gee, I think, let me move on, but let me quickly summarize a few things that I think would be probably worthwhile taking up by the speakers. One is whatever I hear right now seems to be that it seems to me that we're not intellectually engaged with the Chinese at all. It seems that we are kind of in a reception mode, and that also trying to just think of investments as a reception mode. So please educate me. How we intellectually engage with the Chinese? The second question is that it seems to me that the CPEC seems to be a series of projects. As Mustafa put it very well, it's not monolithic, but Mustafa, is it a series of projects? Is it just a laundry list of projects, or is there a coherent theme that unites this? The third point is that it seems to me that, I mean, I remember going to China with the President Zardari as well a long time ago. And it seems to me we were in a rush to sign MOUs when we didn't have the background homework ready. And we thought MOUs, just signing them is good enough. But unfortunately, the problem lies with us at home. And this is what PIDE has been working on, that we have a heavily regulated economy, overly bureaucratized with too many government departments who are falling all over themselves, trying to keep investment out. Local investment is just not there. Local investment 11%. How can you have a country where investment is 11% and where the bureaucratic hurdles are so high, and we go to the Chinese and sign an MOU and expect the MOU to work? It won't, because somewhere or the other, the regulatory setup will hurt them. And this one window nonsense that you set up, the one window, there's no one window. One window is just one bureaucratic, what do you call it, window dressing to hide the regulations under. So I'd like you people to address these three questions as well when you go through. Next one, Ahmed Durrani, go ahead.
Sir, I hope you can hear me well. Hello, am I audible?
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nadeem Saab and all the previous speakers, and obviously, I would like to start because I think you've raised a very interesting question. So since our dear Scarlett knows Urdu, So I have a starting quote for her. वो the Shaky का एक गाना होता था. I think everyone remembers it. मेरी नजरों से इस दुनिया को देखो, फिर जो चाहो तो चले जाना. So the idea is, I think that's what's wrong with CPEC. They are looking at Pakistan through their eyes, and we are looking at China through our eyes. And unfortunately, our eyes are very jaded. We have gone nothing beyond, as Nadeem Saab often puts it, the extractive laws that we inherited from the British, the elite culture we inherited from the British, and basically an elite capture for which every scholar has given 100 million explanations. But let me give you, and I think I have answers for Scarlett and also for you, Nadeem Saab, 3-4 points that I want to make very quickly. But let me start with the point that this whole China experience, I have actually done, as you know, I opened a company called Secure Global, which is still functioning. And I have worked with all Chinese companies from 15 till 19, until which I divested my shares. Finally, I gave up because, and I want to start with that we have a perspective that China, everything works like a clockwork. The answer to that is yes, and it's unfortunate that a public official asked rents for you for getting a visa on arrival. My problem is every Chinese private sector I worked with, number one, is not only corrupt, but is also asking for us to utilize, some of us who do not want to be part of Pakistan's poor governance and corruption, actually asks us to utilize duty evasion, to utilize all this. And I've done this myself through my company. So, there needs to be a discussion on what's going on with this mantra of we are holier than thou. And I honestly do think that, number one, I want to go back to Nadeem Saab to show you a point. If you allow me to share screen, I'll show you a small chart. Can I do that, please? Okay, I want to share this. Yeah. Thank you very much, Nabil. And so I'm going to move this, minimize this. And basically, this is the point I think many speakers made. So it is not about why companies are not coming. I think at the very inception, we showed them how poor we are with this intellectual table tennis that we called CPEC. And here is proof. This is work we did for Asian Development Bank. This dates to 2016. Now, we put up a big 140 variable, but essentially 6 meta variable model, where we said, here's how you select a SEZ location. Now, if you look at Milpo, all the CPEC SEZs, they rate number 14, number 20. So, this is like a traffic light. So you can immediately say these are no-go areas. You look at this one, CPEC, FATA, Mohammed, Marble City. And, until it came a point when we presented this, that the government said to ADB that have these guys change it. So I think this is really alarming. I'll stop sharing screen now. But I think that this was an excellent point made by some of the speakers earlier on, that, it has been hijacked. I think some of the people who spoke here today are part of that elite who actually hijacked, continue to hijack. And it is not until institutes like PIDE wake up as part of the government and make this dialogue a common person's dialogue. And I think that's what Scarlett was also referring to. So the other question which I have is that, where is the uptake capacity for CPEC in Pakistan, right? I mean, this is something that some of us at the, a lot of times in 15, 16, we were invited. It was very hot. And I think everybody knows this. And we basically said, Pakistan does not have any uptake capacity, which is the point Scarlett mentioned. We basically don't have the capacity. There has to be a plug and there has to be a socket. No, they don't match, because here's an American UK elitist Washington consensus plug, which we are trying to plug into a hardworking socialist, quasi-democratic, quasi-capitalist system. So we need to come to terms with our own reality and say, do we really and can we really work with China? Now, let me make my last 2 points. Is CPEC a part of the new China? So if you remember President Xi's speech, I mean, as like Scarlett, I'm a very big, open and secret, both way admirer of the Chinese Politburo. I mean, and I think that, we have lost an opportunity in trying to take this forward. The Global Development Initiative, I've not heard anyone mention it here. The Global Security Initiative, I've not heard anyone mention it here. For the Belt and Road Initiative is now being subsumed because China moves on. China is now trying to jostle to have its currency as the trading currency or have a multi-currency. It's trying to get this troika of Bretton Woods institution displaced, and it's trying to tell the people there is a new West of the imagination. You remember the West is what used to be in the East, because at that time the Chinese silk needs to be, so then we now call the West as the European West. So time has come with the economic center of gravity to bring the West back to where it really is going to be, or it has already arrived. Between China and India, the economic center of gravity is going to be right here somewhere in Mongolia. So, let's understand and ask ourselves, do we have the ability? And my last question to all these bureaucrats and foreign office people and think tank people like China, and I'm sorry, because Scarlett can be emotional. I can also tell you, Scarlett, there are some very emotive people here in Pakistan too. We just have a very British veneer of niceness. You should see us fighting in a crowd. We have the same passion as what you demonstrated right now in your speech. And I am ashamed of calling myself a Pakistani because of what you have just shown us, a mirror from our bureaucrat to our think tanks to everything. Problem, closing statement, Pakistan's issue is that our government holds the people from people to people relationship. They really, and I think my speakers have mentioned this. So the only way we can do this, if people of Pakistan do not look for the permission from the government, and this goes back to another learning we had from Professor McCloskey 2 weeks ago, equity of permission. So the only way to get equity of permissions is to ask no permissions and just beg forgiveness after doing this. So CPEC, China-Pakistan relationship can now only work if we do this at a people-to-people level. The government, our government, will again do an elite capture. We just saw another think tank, demonstrate that. So thank you very much, Nadeem Saab, and I also thank you for not listening to my diatribe. That is very kind of you, because you would have shut me up. Thank you.
Thank you, Raisa. Thank you for your nice comments, and also highlighting two of the important MOUs. Basically, we have recently signed. Basically, two of the initiatives, I would say. Global Development Initiative and Security Related Initiative, the Chinese has recently started. I think the problem is, I think we are responsible. We have not taken, though we have signed the agreement with the Chinese, the MOU with the Chinese side, but we have not basically, taken it outside Islamabad. So many people maybe in different center of excellences or Chinese study center, they may not know about it, but definitely the initiative is there. We are already in touch with China, and definitely some programs would also be included in these initiatives from the Pakistani side. Thank you for your comments. There are some, Dr. Hassan also is asking for, he want to say something, but I would request, because there are some speakers, we go through these speakers first because they are waiting. So we will give basically the forum to the, the audiences also if they want to share. And Dr. Hassan, definitely your contribution, your CPEC is there. So I think you may wait a little bit. So we go through the speaker first, and then we will invite you to say something on CPEC. Thank you. So over to Ms. Farhad. Asif, please, if you want to say something, please.
Thank you so much, Dr. Liaqat, for the invitation. And of course, this forum is also very close to my heart, because for the last 1.5 years, almost 2 years, we've been in conversation with universities, with think tanks, not only here in Pakistan, China, but across the region, utilizing the digital modes and information technology to connect the countries, people who have been working across the region that we are operating, and of course, globally, inviting people from Europe, from Latin America, and of course, asking them their understanding about CPEC as well. So a little bit of many of my colleagues have shared their insights, their recommendations about how can we connect. But of course, CPEC has been remained as a conversation point for all of us. At the Institute of Peace and Diplomatic Studies, we call ourselves Think and Do Tank. We primarily focus on taking the research, not only doing research, but also translating that into an action. Center for BRI and China Studies has been a flagship project that we at the Institute has been established for the past more than 4 years. We've been publishing trainings and many things that are related to think tanks, of course. But what we had seen so far in our conversations that we initiated recently, as I shared that, of course, over the past 2 years, is that which was a series of conversations with friends of BRI across Pakistan, of course, across China and the region, that, and of course, globally, that we have seen that there's a lack of disconnect between what the academics have been doing and discussing and what the industry is all about. So there's a lot of disconnect that we see, not only here in CPEC, but also in overall BRI. Academics are doing their own research, and of course, the industry is doing their own. So there's a kind of disconnect, so north and south poles. But specifically, if you look at CPEC here in Pakistan, they similarly, think tanks are thinking and producing research, but at the same time, the bureaucratic systems of CPEC, the various projects of CPEC, there's again lack of disconnect. Even in the second phase or even in the first phase, there's a lack of, there's a still lack of disconnect. There's a lack of the conversation coming from the research or the industry that is growing and thriving. So because of that, we've been unable to produce what is called as the latest or requirements that are necessary. So there are a few recommendations. Of course, over the time period, we have also tried to initiate this consortium of think tanks or universities, not only in Pakistan only, but of course, connecting Chinese institutions and universities here in Pakistan. And what we, as Dr. Liaqat, we have been doing is that, and best practice has remained, is that we continuously engaging with them, trying to understand, of course, them and sharing our knowledge with them. So as Dr. Nadeem was saying, that there is a lack of, there's always a reception that we consider ourselves to receive information, but also at the Institute, we try to share information with the Chinese counterparts on the regular basis. So at the same time, when you're not into dialogue, you're not communicating with your counterparts, you're unable to understand what is happening there and what is happening here in Pakistan. So, through that conversation, and if you do that regularly, for example, this, my suggestion would be that this kind of conversation should be a series of conversation, not only once. I suggest that PIDE should be continuously doing this conversation on regular basis, so that, once we have the understanding of what is lacunas are there or what have been done so far, but there can be, best practices can be translated into future sector-wise, as many of my colleagues have said, the sector-wise, initiatives can be done. And of course, many of my colleagues had made a lot of tremendous conversations, recommendations, of course. But what I would like to recommend here is that to PIDE as a center point of the think tanks, or any institution who can take the responsibility of not only strategically plan partnerships of not only think tanks from the public sector, but also in the private sector as well. Do not consider them or divide them as a periphery or the core. So build them as a consortium of linear model of partnerships, so that you get able to have the young people who have been leading these institutions and those experienced for the past many years as well. So it's a kind of combination that we need to do. And of course, data and information, I suggest that there should be a digital platform where you can share research related to not only CPEC, China, BRI, Global Development Initiative, a data-led platform where we can all share our research, datas, and collaborate or do regular meetings on that platform so that we can regularly, as Scarlett has also said. What I also over the time period, realize is that we also do research on China, but what we do is that we are unable to understand how the Chinese way of doing or handling the probably the future led initiatives, because we as Pakistanis have always remained impatient of our results. But what we've seen from Chinese is that it's always 20 years, 40 years, or 50 years, or 100 years of planning that has been done. So what we need to learn from them is that to build that relationship. Another important suggestion that I would like to share is that, yes, there is Dr. Nadeem Haque, there's Dr. Liaqat Shah or Farad, but there are people who are young, and we need people who we can translate our knowledge to them so that we can create another Dr. Liaqat Shah or Dr. Nadeem Haque or Farad or Hassan Dawood or Mustafa. Right, so we need to connect with the young people who are just sprouting, building in the international relations department or any other development initiative, development or economic related, industrial sector related departments in the universities, to combine ourselves to mentor them in order to build our knowledge, not only translating to ourselves, but also to the young people as well. So this is my few takes. Of course, media and of course the industry connections, these are very important. Journalists are also important in the connection, that we need to engage them in our conversations, not only considering us as knowing everything, but we need to share with them the information that we need to disseminate across the country. And of course, finally, I would like to also suggest that to translate translate the knowledge, not only in the English, but also in the Chinese, and of course, in Urdu language as well, which is very important, much important. And thank you so much for having me over here for the conversation. I would really like to have the engagement in the future as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your nice suggestions. I would basically repeat the disconnect between academic and policy research you just mentioned. A very nice suggestion. We have to work on it. And the second is basically about, the operating model, how basically the different center of excellences are different think tank can work together. So I think the operating model we need to focus on, and we have to start out, how to make it more effective. Thank you for your suggestion. We will definitely take, we will consider them, and we'll have more discussion on that to make it more effective. Thank you. So now the next speaker is, I take Professor Dr. Zahid Anwar. Are you there, sir? Professor Dr. Zahid Anwar. Okay, so we move on to
I'm here.
Okay, please, sir. Over to you, sir.
Video. Okay, thank you. Dr. Liaqat Shah and other organizer, PIDE and other organizers of this event, I'm thankful to you for giving me opportunity to talk about the role of think tank in CPEC. Actually, I have some suggestions, humble suggestions. And first of all, I would just talk about the China Study Center at University of Peshawar. Was established in 2017, and since then we have taken some steps. Those steps were related to signing up MOUs, joint research, and annual reports we have published, which are available in soft form on the website of the China Study Center, University of Peshawar. We have organized many seminars and symposiums and workshops, and its detail is available on our websites. So when we talk about intellectual focus, so intellectual seminar are related organizations of seminars, joint research, conducting research. These are all intellectual activities. And China Study Center in Pakistan, particularly the 6th China Study Center, conducted a lot of intellectual interaction in this respect. So the China Study Center, they can play a very positive, constructive role so far CPEC is concerned. And the speakers, the earlier speakers highlighted many aspects, and particularly one point which I would second is to have one format of MOU format, so that it become an easy task for universities to sign MOU with Chinese universities. For instance, for the last 3 years, we are waiting for the Ministry of Federal Government Education Ministry, so that we get NOC and then we proceed. Since the 3 years is a long time for taking decisions. So I second that, and this is my humble suggestion. Apart from that, one other point I would like to add, CPEC is a success because now more than 30,000 Pakistani youth students are getting education in China. It has given more than 70,000 people got employment in CPEC projects. The role of China Study Center is to counter any propaganda against Belt and Road Initiative and CPEC. We should professionally, technically evaluate the projects of CPEC, and if they are good, so far national interest of Pakistan are concerned, we should propagate it. We should highlight that this is the best way of countering propaganda against CPEC in its project. Apart from that, distinguished guests and honorable speakers, we have published our annual reports, and apart from that, we have a collaboration with HEC, and we are thankful to Higher Education Commission for its support. And we have made some translations from Chinese classics, which are books related to Chinese history, culture, and way of life. For instance, this is a book which China Study Center has translated. It is by the Chinese way of life, Chini Awam Ki Tarz-e Zindagi. This was translated by China Study Center at University of Peshawar. We have organized a seminar on regional connectivity with the KP Board of Investment and Golden Ring Forum. So these are some points I would like to add, and this is another point which would help us to further strengthen this collaboration is higher education. Higher education is a field where universities can collaborate with universities in China, Pakistan, and Chinese universities, and CPEC China Pakistan Consortium of Universities. This consortium is playing very important role, and it should further play its role so that universities are connected and something positive, some more positive steps are taken, and we play our role, whether it is Belt and Road Initiative or CPEC. Another point related to this cooperation is China Study Center, particularly the 6th China Study Center. One is under Nasir Afghan Saab, the other is Dr. Sattar, and there are 4 other Chinese Study Centers. So they are a think tank, and they can play the role of a think tank. But for instance, the one center under Dr. Talat Shabir, this is very active, and it is contributing a lot so far Pakistan-China collaboration and cooperation is concerned. And Dr. Talat just mentioned about Gwadar visit. I was a member of that delegation, and it was very positive and very constructive effort done by the China Study Center at Institute of Strategic Studies. So the China Study Center in Pakistan, they can cooperate and they can focus on issues which are important both for China and Pakistan. So in this way, we can cooperate with one another. Another point is we should also cooperate with Pakistan study centers in China. There are China Study Centers in Pakistan, and there are Pakistan Study Center in China. So we should cooperate with them so that we have a better better picture of the reality. And in this connection, China Embassy in Pakistan is playing very important role, and we are thankful. China Study Center at University of Peshawar is thankful to China Embassy in Islamabad, because it is supporting, it is guiding China Study Center to conduct research on issues important both for Pakistan and China. Another point I second is raised by Dr. Talat Shabir is visit to CPEC projects. We are planning to visit Rashakai Special Economic Zone, and hopefully that field study will further help us to understand CPEC projects and then highlight the positive development in this respect. In the end, Dr. Liaqat Ali Saab, I'm thankful to you for giving opportunity to China Study Center at University of Peshawar to share its humble suggestions, and it is indeed an encouragement for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your nice suggestion. And I would take this suggestion. I think we have never thought about Pakistan Study Center in China. We need to engage with them because they have the ground experience, the ground realities. They know how to engage with China. So this is a really, really very good suggestion, and definitely will take it very seriously. About the MOU, sir, you mentioned, and Dr. Tufail, Muhammad Tufail also mentioned about the MOU. So let me share it on this forum that I will be in the afternoon going there to meet with the concerned section. I've already talked to him. I know your MOU were there, lingering on for the last 3 years. So hopefully by evening, I will give you some reply. I have already talked to them. So anyhow, this is a problem. I think the Ministry of Education, normally it's not in the Higher Education Commission, but sometime in the Ministry of Education, the MOU that got stuck. So, okay, now we move on to the next. Thank you, sir, very much for the suggestion. Now we move on to the Dr. Abdul Sattar. Are you there?
Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah, please.
First of all, I would like to extend my thanks to PIDE for arranging this lively debate. I hope last time Dr. Nadeem and Dr. Liaqat Ali, you had a good visit of Quetta in November when you had an annual conference. Speaking of the China Study Center at BUITEMS Quetta, as Dr. Professor Zahid Anwar Saab just mentioned that we are under HEC's directions, or you can say the guidelines that we are operating. And although they are operating since 2016, but we have started our operations just 1.5 years back in 2021. So far, we also have arranged several activities related to development of CPEC, related to the understanding of Chinese culture, history, etc. We are also we also conduct classes, Chinese classes, also working on the policy briefs, publications as well. There are a few suggestions and a few comments that already honorable speakers have highlighted several important issues related to the knowledge partnership among the think tanks operating in Pakistan. Maybe see myself or my center is working as the other institutes who are operating in Islamabad, like we have to achieve certain targets and objectives in a specific time frame, like, for example, conducting research as well as organizing exhibitions, etc. So coming to the suggestions related to the knowledge partnership or the collaboration among the think tanks within Pakistan. First of all, let me recap some of the things that have already been said by the respected speakers. For example, Dr. Talat Shabir Saab and Mustafa Heather Saab just expressed some narrative building and positive narrative related to the CPEC, which is indeed significant. And I think what we need to do is to have like this lively debate. We are having a joint conference of the think tanks. It should be, as also suggested by Dr. Farhat Asif, it should be a series of conferences or the webinars related to the development of CPEC or sharing of ideas and experiences. I would like to add this this thing related to that it should be sector specific or location specific. When we talk about, for example, CPEC in Balochistan, it comes in front of us like we have different dynamics compared to KP or Punjab. For example, when we talk about CPEC in Balochistan, we have to we face the challenges related to, for example, security challenges as well as multi-dimensional poverty in Balochistan. So we have to be location and regional specific when we were discussing about the development of CPEC. Second, extending these joint conferences or seminars or the webinars to the academic research. In that aspect, let me share one of the experiences that I was approached from a university from Sindh, one of the colleagues, that they asked us for a commitment letter for a specific project that they wanted to submit. I asked about this specific proposal related to that, or engaging the local institute in that particular research, but unfortunately they just wanted us for a commitment letter without actively engaging one of our researches. So this particular approach, when we're not engaging the local institutions or local think tanks while studying on the specific project of a CPEC, it's I think it's unfortunate, and I think we should work on how to resolve these particular things as well. Secondly, again, I would also like to highlight these MOUs that we wish to sign with the Chinese universities. Our center also initiated the 2 MOUs, and they are also pending because of that advisory from the cabinet to have the NOC from the HAC and the government. I hope this, as highlighted by the other members, it would be resolved soon. But one thing I would like to add, this signing of the MOUs, we have seen many MOUs have been signed with the Chinese universities independently by different universities and different institutes. I would suggest that if we could have, rather than going to bilateral agreements, why not to have the trilateral, or the think tanks, 2 or 3 think tanks from Pakistan, they could join China MOUs with the Chinese universities. For example, some of the universities are less resourceful in specific areas, or the accessibility to Chinese counterparts are also limited. So therefore, I would suggest joining hands with other centers will add effectiveness in those MOUs or agreements that we sign with the Chinese universities. Finally, I would, with this suggestion, I would conclude my my talk. We should have a collective value proposition regarding to the development of CPEC. what it meant, like, although we they established the 6 centers that they are working under the HAC, they have to achieve certain common targets. But when we talk about the other centers, they are independently working on the development of CPEC or producing the policy briefs or taking part somehow in the decision making or policy making. They are independently doing that, which is of course good thing, bringing diversity to that. But this should have a positive impact. But what is more important is that we should have a common or collective value proposition. It should be explicated to all the centers, all the stakeholders, whether they are in KP, Punjab, or in Balochistan. I think a common value proposition or a common, you can say, identity or regional inclusiveness in your policies, in the on the projects. I think that could be one of the drivers that could lead us to have the CPEC successful. With this, I would again thank the organizers, PIDE, Dr. Nadeem, Dr. Liaqat, Shah Sahab. Thank you very much for having me in this debate, and I hope that we would continue these talks in future as well. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sattar, for your suggestions. I think the MOU problem, features more in the debate, so we will discuss it further also, and we will take it up from Ministry of Planning Commission also. We will discuss with the relevant stakeholder here. Thank you once again. So Dr. Shakeel Jajja, are you there?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much, Dr. Liaqat Ali Shah Sahab and Dr. Nadeem Haque for arranging this session. We are thankful on behalf of COMSATS, China Study Center. We are thankful to both of you and to all the participants, definitely, for sparing time and sitting here. Introducing myself, Dr. Tahir Mumtaz Awan. I am the head of China Study Center at COMSATS, University Islamabad. I had a pleasure working with Dr. Liaqat Sahab directly. So he is not an unknown person for me. हमारा साथ को तकरीबन मेरे ख्याल से पिछले अगर मैं गलत नहीं हूँ तो 12-13 साल का है. So it was always nice to see him at higher and higher levels, CPEC authority और उसके बाद अब ministry. So thank you very much, Liaqat Sahab, once again. Briefly telling about the center, January 2nd, 2013 को आज से 10 साल पहले 11वां साल हमारा start हो चुका है. The center was established and with a very brief and very common objective to build this partnership in a more proactive way to make this partnership more and more successful. जब हम ये we are talking about this partnership, so it means we have certain objectives, we have certain common things. जितने भी लोग यहाँ पे बैठे हुए हैं, all of us, we are having a common objective and we are working on the same thing to make this country, to make this partnership, to make Pakistan more and more a better place for all the stakeholders, whether they are Pakistani stakeholders, whether they are Chinese, whether they are from other national. But as we are talking about the knowledge partnership between think tanks in Pakistan for CPEC development, तो ये CPEC development या China Study Center के जो forte में जितनी चीजें आती थी, briefly talking about them, 250 plus alumni हैं जी, biggest alumni working in the COMSATS University, those who have graduated from China. ये alumni का word मैं उनके लिए use कर रहा हूँ. Then we are teaching Chinese language in Pakistan to the university students also. We were also doing it in collaboration with the Confucius Center Islamabad, but आहिस्ता आहिस्ता self-sustainability की तरफ हम जा रहे हैं and we are managing it now on our own. So we have good teachers working with us who are teaching at different campuses of China, of COMSATS universities. We have 7 campuses. I hope many people know about it. The training for the Chinese people also is one of our main concern, jo ki hum dekh rahe hain. We are having second batch starting from this semester, inshallah, jisme hum Chinese ke jo Chinese professionals jo yahan pe kaam kar rahe hain, different companies, unko hum English language ek saal ke liye padha rahe hain, and then they'll be proceeding for the academic degree also. Exposure visits की बहुत सी बात हुई, तो we had 6 exposure visits to China इस प्लेटफॉर्म से, चाइना स्टडी सेंटर के प्लेटफॉर्म से. फिर थोड़ी सी हमारी जो वो तसलसल था वो टूट गया बिकॉज ऑफ कोविड, जिस पे मैं भी थोड़ी सी और बात करूंगा. कुछ चीजें ऐसी हैं कि जो अभी बात हुई है तो मैं समझता हूँ कि बेहतर है. पाकिस्तान स्टडी सेंटर्स एंड चाइना स्टडी सेंटर्स की मीटिंग्स रेगुलरली होती रहती हैं, यूजुअली साल में एक होती है. 2022 की मीटिंग हम कर चुके हैं. We conducted 4 business forums and we had very successful. Last forum was in Lahore before COVID, jisme around 135 companies participated, 135 Chinese companies participated, and I don't want to number the Pakistani companies. Definitely they were much bigger, and Pakistani universities ne bhi participate kiya. There were 2 summer schools arranged for the young children. वो बच्चे जो अभी class 2-3 में हैं, उनके लिए हमने summer schools arrange kiye to get them a little bit awareness about the Chinese language also. HEC consortium of universities conference जो है, 3rd conference host की थी jointly HEC के साथ COMSATS ने, और it is one of the pioneer members in that consortium also. Chinese corner, China corner हमारी library में establish हुआ था 2013 से ये काम करे, which is one of the biggest China corner with ample literature available, training for youth and training for media professionals also, with reference to Chinese governance systems and Chinese system. Ye arrange ki humne around till date around 51 international MOUs sign हुए और 46 local MOUs sign हुए हैं. इस पे मैं मेरी कुछ reservation भी है, उस reservation के बारे में मैं बात करूंगा अभी. 6 are ready to sign and 3 are already in negotiation. Although अभी बात भी हुई कि जी बहुत से MOUs जो हैं वो, और लियाकत साहब ने वादा किया है कि वो हमारे इन MOUs को थोड़ा सा और पुश भी करेंगे. ऑफशोर PhD प्रोग्राम जो है उसकी हम प्रपोजल जो है वो ऑलरेडी फाइनलाइजिंग स्टेज पे है. PhD प्रोग्राम विद जॉइंट प्रोग्राम विद नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ चाइना हम स्टार्ट करने जा रहे हैं इंशाल्लाह इन 2023 मोस्ट प्रोबेबली. चाइनीज लैंग्वेज टेस्ट रिसेंटली कंडक्ट करवाए हैं हमने 5 डिफरेंट सिटीज में, अपने डिफरेंट कैंपसेस में जाके, टू गेट पीपल अवेयर अबाउट द लैंग्वेज ऑल्सो. एंड द पार्टिसिपेंट्स वर एक्चुअली आवर ओन स्टूडेंट्स जिन्होंने चाइनीज लैंग्वेज उससे पिछले सेमेस्टर में पढ़ी थी, सो दैट वी कैन असेस के वो लैंग्वेज पढ़ाने का कोई फायदा भी हो रहा है उन्हें या नहीं. We were a little lacking in the publication side also, although we have our regular magazine coming out, but that magazine is mainly focusing on the short articles and the news of the center also. ये biannual हमारा होता था, जिसको inshallah we are planning to take it to quarterly, and all of this information is available on the website. 3 books are in pipeline which are inshallah be publishing in 2023, and an upcoming conference on CPEC and FinTech climate in Pakistan is already approved by Higher Education Commission. Inshallah, China Study Center will be organizing it in May or June, most probably in May. The date is yet to be finalized. This was a very quick introduction about the center, and I believe जिस चीज के लिए हम यहाँ पे आज जमा हुए हैं, the knowledge partnership. So हमें मिक्स किस्म के कमेंट जरूर मिलेंगे कि जी CPEC was slow, CPEC is slow, या CPEC is not slow. So there are some constraints we still have to consider. 3 साल plus हम कोविड में रहे हैं. National, international economy ये अफेक्ट हुई है. जो इन्फ्लेशन है वो इन्फ्लेशन सिर्फ पाकिस्तान का प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. इन्फ्लेशन is an international problem these days. Economy सिर्फ पाकिस्तान की अफेक्ट नहीं हो रही. It is an international issue which we have to consider when we are talking about the progress of CPEC. As we are in the second phase, which is more of like called as the soft side now, so first stage में infrastructure की time पे हमें बहुत सी चीजें that were at the ministerial level, that were at the organizational level. That is why people didn't knew about it. Yes, in the second phase, our role being the, you can say the research centers, the think tanks, the organizations working to make this project more successful. Hamara role zyada aayega. Definitely we agree with it. There is a very well-known Chinese saying, black cat or white cat, then again the cat should catch the mouse. But again, the rules of business should be defined. It should not be the black cat or the white cat. You should not do business by any way. You should do business by legal way. One of our speakers, I'm sorry, I'm missing the name, but he rightly mentioned that why do we have to cross? Why do we have to forego some of the policies, some of the rules, some of the regulations that are being made in Constitution of Pakistan? And that is being off and on requested by the Chinese businesses, not those businesses who are genuine, not those businesses like Zong, not those businesses like ZTE, not those businesses like Chang'an, not those businesses like Oppo. I mean, those businesses, they are doing business in a right way. They know we have to follow the rules of business. But when you are having a counterpart in front of you and he lets you forgo everything and just make it happen, it is not like we have to make it happen. We have to make it happen in the right way. So we have to find out it should not be the black cat or the white cat. It should be the right cat who should catch the mouse. So this is a little intervention in the very old this saying of Chinese. So I mean, I would rather mention here our counterpart of NUST also, Ms. Scarlett, said that there are problems. She mentioned rightly that we had problems, but we have to find the right solution for that. We talking about Pakistan, yes, we do have some problems. We do have some issues. We do have our own government system. We do have, it is weaker at some points. It is having some plus points. It is having some negative points. But it is different from China. We have to understand that the government system being followed in Pakistan and the government system being followed in China is different. It is not the same. So we have to synchronize the things. And in synchronization, we do have to find out some common points where we have to sit down and where we have to work on it rather than changing it. She rightly mentioned about Douyin, which is commonly known as TikTok in the other part of the world. So most of us, if we try to download Douyin in Pakistan, we cannot download it. The rights of downloading are yet not given. If we have to download WeChat in Pakistan, we are not allowed to download it independently and make an account. We have to work on these sites, but again, this is not the task of us, the recommenders. It is not our task to make those policies. It is again the recommendations that we can make. We can make the recommendations, and the policy side is again the government issue. Implementation is not our problem. Implementation is not our task. Our task is to suggest what or how or what need to be implemented. Then media synchronization was also one of the major concerns which we have to consider. We have CGTN here, we have CCTV here, we have CRI Urdu service here, we have FM 98 here. So we are already having presence of Chinese media in Pakistan. Yes, we have to introduce the Chinese media, the Pakistani media to China also. But is it given the appropriate platform? Is it given the appropriate launching pad in China also? Why do CRI Urdu service is working well, and every morning we hear FM 98 and CRI Urdu service from Beijing directly? Why not Radio Pakistan service when Radio Pakistan people are going and working in CRI also? So these are few of the things. When there are definitely funding issues when we talk about making some feasibility studies, doing some research. If I am not getting any tangible funding to conduct a feasibility study, for example, Chile was one of the examples. We have one of the best productions of olives in Pakistan recently. So if we are not given appropriate funding, should I be able to conduct a good feasibility study? I don't think so that it is possible. It is possible from my own fundings, where we are managing the salaries also of the center, where we are managing the different activities that are organized in normal fashion, so that we can do some awareness campaigns also. We are doing our part. Some important themes, some important concepts, some important topics need to be understood, need to be followed, and then we have to propagate it. Alhamdulillah, China Study Center of COMSATS University, it was the first one to organize the full-day conference of Global Development Initiative and Global Security Initiative. All of the relevant people were there. Pakistan Study Centers and China Study Centers meeting was held, and Dr. Liaqat was also one of the speakers over there. He was representing ministry at that time. So we are having all those relevant concepts, and whenever we get someone, whenever we get an offer from someone that we need to collaborate, we do it with open heart. We have already collaborated with many of the organizations working in Pakistan, working in China also. We have to come out of those silos. We have to come out of those, our own small groups, and we have to see what is possible. If I am arranging a conference and I am asking for like an active partnership, which was again mentioned by Dr. Abdul Sattar also a while ago. So that active collaboration is needed. From my center, I am offering this to all these 62 participants are listening to me, and I hope we are going live on Facebook also. So many are listening to us else than these 62 also. I offer a full-fledged cooperation. Being a graduate from China, I personally have some good linkages. So whatever requirement, whatever need is there from the ministry side, from any study center, from any think tank, I am personally offering my help without any monetary benefit, without any logo placement, or without any publicity. I am open for the mediation part. So let me mediate, and without any interest. You can take the lead, and I can only be a guiding person, because I was there in China for about 5 to 5.5 years, and I know these people. I would say that in all of these speakers, I believe we have only one Chinese speaker, Ms. Xiang. So after Ms. Xiang, maybe I am one of those persons who know China well. I'm not saying the best, but I know China well. So these are some of the things which we should consider. Business community of both countries, they need to get information. They need to know the rules of business. They need to be, you can say, aware of how to do and what to do. Many of us, they don't know how to do business with China, the basic norms of doing business are missing. Similar is the case with the Chinese people. So if we are arranging those exposure visits, as suggested by Ms. Xiang also, we should focus what we are doing at. We should focus, rather we have to go to the business community, we have to go to the academic community. We just not go there. We should not go there and visit big factories and say, wow, they have big factories. We should have some objective. We should have some common point on which we are going. If we are going to make people aware about how to do business in Pakistan, go to the specific chambers, go to the specific the local communities or the local community organizations like the union councils in our country. So they also have those local bodies. So go to the local bodies, government, and ask them to arrange the relevant businesses. I personally have conducted a numberless sessions about when we were doing that Pakistan-China Business Forum. So I conducted these kind of sessions directly with the chambers, directly with the local governments. And I told them how to do business in China. If we are saying that our procedures are lacking, why can't we tell them that SCCP is having an online system and we can register a company from our computer in 15 minutes? We can do it in 15 minutes. But how many of Chinese, how many of our counterparts, how many of Pakistanis know that this ease of business is being implemented by SCCP? The problem as per my understanding, again, no hard feelings and no offense in saying that, whenever we are starting something, whenever we are starting a venture, we have to do some homework. Yes, everybody must do some homework, but we have to do some homework when we are going in a different environment. We have to understand that different environment. And most of the Chinese businesses that are failing to establish in Pakistan, the problem behind that is they don't have the local awareness. They don't have the awareness of the Pakistani market. I still believe, and I hope Liaqat Sahab also remember this thing, when he was in CPEC Authority, I volunteered myself. I said, if you are having any company and they need any help in understanding the Pakistani market, understanding the Pakistani business system, yes, I am available. And I volunteered this, and I helped 2 or 3 companies from the platform of CPEC Authority also. I personally did a session with one of the most promising company, one of the oldest company working in Pakistan. I did a session on how CDA works in Pakistan, how the property sector works in Pakistan. I did these sessions myself without any monetary benefit. Just told them that while going to CDA, how do you get the approval? How do you prepare your documents? If I don't know how to open a company in China and I aimlessly go in China and hitting the wall, I will definitely come demotivated. So we have to prepare, and we have a good number of people. I believe out of these 62, at least more than half of the people can answer this question very well, can conduct a very good session on this thing, how to conduct the businesses. We have people like the study center heads. We have people like those working in different ministries. We have people from the diplomatic side also. They can conduct very good sessions. So why don't we educate those companies who are coming in Pakistan and want to establish their business before they arrive in Pakistan, or after they arrive in Pakistan? The first thing should be educating them. I personally believe, I can never forget my instance of first 11 days in China when I was unable to buy anything because I didn't know Chinese. For 11 days, I was living on a plain bread and a glass of water. I still remember that 11 days. But now, alhamdulillah, I'm too fluent in Chinese, and I do table talks with Chinese people, with Chinese companies in their own language. That is the comfort that I have developed. I personally have developed myself so that I can come at par with them. So if I didn't work on that part, on the language part, for example, this is just mentioning this as an example. If I hadn't worked on this part, maybe I was facing more problems while living in China, and I was coming back with a bad mind. But now I am having a different view about China. Now I'm having a different view about CPEC. And that is the reason I am sitting at this position. Otherwise, I am a professor of marketing. I very less work, very less publications that are being focused on CPEC. Yet there are quite few, but still, as compared to my own field, there are surely less. Literature translation is one of the good things which Dr. Zahid has just mentioned, that they are doing. HEC is doing it at this level, but dissemination of that information is important. well, we do have to read those poems, but what is the essence behind that poem? The essence behind those poems need to be highlighted, need to be written. It should not be only the poetry. It should be the prose side also. It should be the explanation of that poetry also, so that people know about the dynasties. People know about how they have made themselves a bigger nation. How they are talking about bigger China. How they are talking about the China dream. How they are talking about BRI. This nation was again having some problems, problems regarding what we are facing today. I faced a common sentence. I quoted it in many of my many platforms, that whenever we talk with Chinese, they call it that Sinzai the Pakistan the 90 is 90s. So it is the situation of Pakistan, what I just said in Chinese, the translation of it is that the condition of Pakistan right now is as compared to what China was in 90s. So we are about 30 years lagging behind, about 30 years, but they have developed themselves. Pakistan is a nation which was the first one to offer plane to China. The first flight that landed in People's Republic of China was of PIA. Still, you can witness that airport, Nanyuan Airport in Beijing. It is a replica of Pakistani old Islamabad airport. So it was the country that established, that was once making their country. But then why we lagged behind? This is something that we need to ponder on, that this is something we need to focus on. We have a huge responsibility to work on these sites. And being on the CPEC think tank side, I believe we have to understand that the last thing before I close is that we have to work on this thing, that what are the important topics, what are the important themes. We maybe are lagging behind, but we have to understand and we have to work on the same issues. And we have to arrange our business community to work in a more congenial way, rather than foregoing some of the policies that are being made in Pakistan. Last thing, make this friendship work so that we can get benefit. China is not working on a win cooperation. It is working on a win-win cooperation. They always say this word, win-win cooperation. So if it is only a one-side win, maybe it is a Chinese win, it is not useful. It is not worthy. So we have to work on our sides also. We have to make this friendship a win-win cooperation. It should not be a win cooperation. Thank you very much, Dr. Liaqat Sahab, and thank you very much all the other participants for bearing me for so long.
Thank you, Dr. Tahir Mumtaz, for your suggestions. Yeah, we need to capitalize on your expertise and experience with China, definitely, and the way you run the center in COMSATS, it's laudable. Thank you very much once again for your suggestion. Professor Dr. Attaullah Shah, he has joined us. Are you there, sir? This will be the last speaker, and then we will open the forum for audience. So, okay, I think we conclude the session, but before conclusion, I think I will leave the forum, for a little bit discussion. Hassan Dawood Saab is there. I think without Hassan Saab, though he's not part of any center of excellence or China Study Center, but his contribution to CPEC is there. Hassan Dawood, Dr. Hassan Dawood.
Yeah, I am there.
Okay, okay. So over to you, sir. Please share your thoughts.
I would be as succinct as possible and as brief as possible that I can be, and I would just like to highlight few important aspects. And I think for most of us here, this could be like a roadmap and perhaps a stepping stone. A is that perhaps we must learn from China as far as our academic diplomacy is concerned. I think sometimes we do not understand the importance of academic diplomacy, and we never leverage that. We just remain in our own shelf and do not explore the options of that. And I wish I had Nadeem ul Haq Sahab here also, and I would like to give few points to PIDE also. Secondly, I think let's not focus on Tahir साहब, अगर आप अपने आप को म्यूट करें ना तो फिर मजा आएगा. तो शुक्रिया. So दूसरा ये कि I think we must understand, and this point is perhaps focused to private sector think tanks, that one size does not fit all. You know, you have the public sector think tanks and think tanks working within HEIs have a different role and a different perspective, whereas private sector think tanks have a different perspective. We have fantastic model, what Farhat is doing, what Mustafa is doing. I think, and also Chinese acknowledge that. And also some of the work that is being done in public sector. Zahid Saab, I worked closely with him in Peshawar. Tahir, I have been as part of his speaker. Liaqat and PIDE now. But sometimes our focus is personality driven. If you get a person who lived and worked or studied in China, you get a lot of speed and acceleration and surge in quality of research. But then if he goes and people come, so is that our focus should be different. Okay, now coming to public sector, our focus should be getting quality research. हमारा ये फोकस नहीं होना चाहिए, ना सेइंग दिस उर्दू के अगर कोई चाइनीज है तो वो ना सुन सके. तो हमारा ये फोकस सर नहीं होना चाहिए कि हमें चाइना के दौरे मिलें, और ये फोकस एक प्राइवेट सेक्टर लेड थिंक टैंक का हो सकता है कि वो पैसे बनाएं अपनी रिसर्च से, पैसे बनाएं अपने काम से, और चाइना के विजिट्स कर सकें और उससे एक सिनर्जी क्रिएट कर सकें. एक पब्लिक सेक्टर की जो थिंक टैंक है या हायर एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूशन का जो थिंक टैंक है या रिसर्च सेंटर है, उसका काम क्वालिटी रिसर्च और उसकी अलाइनमेंट होना चाहिए, चाहे वो किसी भी, और नॉवेल्टी में जाना चाहिए, क्योंकि नॉवेल्टी विल मेक यू विल कनेक्ट यू विद थिंक टैंक्स इन चाइना, and that novelty will get you a lot of money also if you like, because naturally we know that. तो हमारा फोकस डिफरेंट होना चाहिए पैसे वाइज. अगर हमारा फोकस ये है कि हम दौरे कर सकें और पैसे बना सकें तो इस दुकान को बंद कर दें. ये मैं आपको अभी बता रहा हूँ, क्योंकि in global recession that we are seeing in the following 2-3 years, people will be smarter in spending their money. Even rich countries will be smarter in spending their money. And that would perhaps be aligned with their political aspirations and inspirations. तो आपको उसके लिहाज से अपने आप को, और प्लीज मेरी गुजारिश है कि आप लोगों का, yes, we must focus on the rhetoric like higher than mountain and deeper than ocean and sweeter than honey. That is a must, because that's an IR jargon. But for other think tanks, क्योंकि यहाँ पे जितने भी think tanks मैं देखता हूँ वो IR specific domain में काम करते हैं. आपके कितने थिंक टैंक हैं जो टेक्नोलॉजी डोमेन में काम कर रहे हैं? आपके कितने, आई मीन हैं लेकिन बहुत लिमिटेड है. कितने आपके बियॉन्ड आईआर और बियॉन्ड, बिकॉज वहां पे पॉलिटिकल काउंसलर से एक्सेस अवेलेबल होता है, आपको बड़ी आसानी से एम्बेसी भी ग्रांट्स देती है और आपका कनेक्ट. बट आई थिंक वी शुड कम गेट आउट ऑफ आवर कंफर्ट जोन. और लियाकत को, शायद लियाकत भाई को पता होगा, I even said this in last conference and I, at the cost of repetition, don't go on low hanging fruits. आपका वो स्टेमिना नहीं है लो हैंगिंग का, बड़ी एफर्ट लगती है लो हैंगिंग फ्रूट को तोड़ते हुए. जो जमीन पे सड़ है ना उनको उठा के खा ले. सो उस लिहाज से अपना फोकस को अलाइन करें और नए आइडियाज को करें. I have just come back from China. It's been just 1 month or rough time था before the CPC meeting. मैं आपको क्लियरली विदाउट मिंसिंग वर्ड कह रहा हूं कि उनकी इंटरेस्ट इन पाकिस्तान, इनकी इंटरेस्ट इन चाइना, इंटरेस्ट इन पाकिस्तानी थिंक टैंक्स, उनकी इंटरेस्ट इन जॉइंट कोलैबोरेशन एग्जिस्ट करती है. लेकिन प्लीज उनकी इंटरेस्ट को फेल मत होने दें, क्योंकि एक रेपिटिशन और रेपिटेटिव वर्क पे नहीं काम चलेगा. आप सीपैक की जो डिस्कशन है, आप उसके अंदर इंडिविजुअली अपने थिंक टैंक्स का, और मैं ये कहता रहा, एंड लियाकत कैन एक्चुअली ऐड और निगेट व्हाट आई एम सेइंग. मुझे आप बताइए, आप में से कितने थिंक टैंक्स अपनी रिसर्च को प्लानिंग कमीशन से शेयर करते हैं ऑन सीपैक? और आप मिनिमल, और आप मुझे ये बताएं कि आपकी रिसर्च सीपैक से आगे क्यों नहीं जा रही? चाइना के से फॉर एग्जांपल ब्लू इकोनॉमी है, एआई एंड रोबोटिक्स है, यू नो ट्रांसफॉर्मेशनल टेक्नोलॉजीज जो है जिन पे हम काम कर रहे हैं, उस पर क्यों नहीं काम कर रहे? और उसकी डोमेन को हम आईआर में भी ले जाएंगे, बिकॉज एवरीथिंग इज अबाउट पॉलिटिक्स नाउ. द वे दैट चाइना, यूएस relationships and the Taiwan Strait issue is brewing, हमारे लिए बहुत अपॉर्चुनिटी। आप ये देखें कि इस वक्त कितने डाटा एनालिस्ट जो यूएस में थे चाइनीज वो वापस आ रहे हैं, और हमारे कितने डाटा एनालिस्ट के लिए जगह बन रही है फॉर एक्वायरिंग द जॉब्स। और मुझे इस थ्योरी से भी आई डू नॉट एग्री विद दिस थ्योरी कि ब्रेन ड्रेन हो रहा है। आपके लोग बाहर जाएंगे, कंट्रीब्यूट करेंगे, वही सीईओज बनेंगे। और अगर इंडिया ये सोचता कि ब्रेन ड्रेन हो रहा है, तो आज जो 15-20 सीईओज इंडियंस बैठे हुए हैं बिगर टेक्नोलॉजी, वो फिर कभी भी ना जाते और हम हमारी तरह हर जगह हर चीज का एक इशू बन जाता। लास्टली सर, मेरी एक गुजारिश है कि कॉन्स्पिरेसी थ्योरी से आप लोग निकले। आपके अंदर, इस ग्रुप के अंदर इतना जबरदस्त वॉल्यूम और नॉलेज है, जितने लोग मैं देख रहा हूँ एटलीस्ट जो नजर आ रहे हैं, जिनको मैं पर्सनली जानता हूँ, प्लीज उस वेल्थ ऑफ नॉलेज को प्रोडक्टिव कामों में यूज करने की कोशिश करें। आई एम सेइंग दिस इन टर्म्स ऑफ थिंक टैंक। पाइड भी ये, जिस तरह हम अपनी इकोनॉमी को कहते हैं, बूम और बस साइकिल से निकल जाए कि एक दिन जोश चढ़ा तो चाइना, क्योंकि लियाकत वहां पे चला गया तो चाइना पे डिस्कशन शुरू होगी, हसान दाऊद चला जाए तो डिस्कशन हो जाएगी, ताहिर मुमताज चला गया तो डिस्कशन शुरू हो जाए। ऐसे नहीं होता। आपकी रेपोजिटरीज कितनी है, कितनी रिसर्च आपकी क्वालिटी ऑनलाइन लिंक करती है विद चाइनीज थिंक टैंक। मैं अभी आया हूँ, मुझसे पर्सनली इतने थिंक टैंक्स ने अप्रोच किया है, इवन इफ आई रिटर्न, कि आप बताएं, स्पेशली जो पाकिस्तान स्टडी सेंटर है, आप में से कितने लोग उनके साथ जानते हैं और उनको। और दूसरा, प्लीज अपने रोल को एज एन एकेडेमियन, एज रिसर्चर, एज स्कॉलर्स, आप इस रोल को इन एकेडमिक डिप्लोमेसी इंश्योर करें और फॉरेन ऑफिस को कन्विंस करें कि आपका रोल कितना इंपॉर्टेंट है। आप देख लें कि सबसे पहले चाइनीज स्कॉलर आता है, उसके बाद उनका चेंबर आता है, या जो भी इन्वेस्टर है उसने आना है। तो आप अपना रोल क्रिएट करेंगे और अपने आप को उस मॉडल के अंदर लाएंगे, तो आपका रोल फॉरेन ऑफिस भी समझेगा, प्लानिंग कमीशन भी समझेगा। क्योंकि और हम जो हैं यहाँ पर, और हमने चाइना से कम एक चीज तो जरूर सीखनी है ना, कि हम पॉलिटिक्स से इतने ओवरवेल्म ना हो और इकोनॉमी की तरफ देखें और न्यू आइडियाज और नोवेल्टी की तरफ देखें। So I would end this, and I think this is a brilliant discussion that we are having, and I think this will take us to better.
Dr.
मैं
Hasan,
हमेशा कहता हूँ, मैं
Dr.
लास्टली
Hasan,
एक चीज कह दूं, एक लास्ट चीज, ये चीज मत सोचें कि सीपैक कितना स्लो या तेज जा रहा है। सीपैक चल रहा है, जो उसकी डिफाइन रोल्स है, मैं आपको अश्योर करता हूँ, इस पे हम डिबेट भी कर सकते हैं। लेकिन आपका क्या रोल है सीपैक के तेज और आहिस्ता चलने में, ये आप जरा सोच लें। या हम सिर्फ गवर्नमेंट को या वो एसोसिएट ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस, जो हम सबका एक रोल है ना सीपैक के लिए, उसको तेज चलाने में या उसको ड्रैग करने में, गवादर की डेवलपमेंट में, इसमें अपना रोल क्रिएट करेंगे हम सब थिंक टैंक, और एक कलेक्टिव डिस्कशन। जी डॉक्टर लियाकत प्लीज।
Okay, before you leave, I have one question for you. That's about, because we didn't discuss it, this is the question about the third Belt and Road Forum, International Cooperation Forum, which will be held this year. So how, in what capacity the Center of Excellence is, or this Center of Excellence or other China Study Center, they can play a role in and basically participate in the Belt and Road Forum. So do you have any suggestion for the center? Because
yeah, brilliant. I think very relevant question. I would give you two ideas. इसके अंदर ये है कि like going to BOW forum and this BRI forum will be very important. I think कि हम सबसे पहले and I would request you, Dr. Liaqat, to take the lead in this, कि आप अपने एक लिस्ट ऑफ स्कॉलर्स बना लें और कुछ एरियाज पे हम रिसर्च कर लें। अच्छा, वहां पे ये होता है कि आप दो सूरतों में जा सकते हैं। एक तो ये कि यू रिप्रेजेंट द गवर्नमेंट, और दूसरा ये होता है कि आप प्राइवेट कैपेसिटी में भी जा सकते हैं टू अटेंड दैट, एंड यू कैन रीड योर पेपर देयर। हमारे यहाँ ये नेचुरली और एमओयूज की बहुत बात हुई, हमारे एम्बेसीज ग्रेवयार्ड है एमओयूज की, और हमारी यूनिवर्सिटीज भी ग्रेवयार्ड, ये एमओयू करने का ना एक फैशन है। सो आई थिंक हमें एक्सप्लोर करना, इसके अंदर हम प्राइवेटली भी लेट्स वर्क टुगेदर एज अ टीम, और इसके अंदर ये देख सकते हैं कि लेट्स से इफ यू डू नॉट गेट सपोर्ट फ्रॉम दी from our foreign office in terms of going and attending this in our private capacity, let's form a forum और अपनी जो कनेक्शंस हैं इन चाइना उनको एक्सप्लोर करें, और उसके लिए फंडिंग भी क्रिएट की जा सकती है, प्राइवेट सेक्टर को रिक्वेस्ट की जा सकती है, या अपने कुछ ज्यादा पैसे भी लगाए जा सकते हैं। बट आई वुड सिंसियरली अर्ज, अर्नेस्टली रिक्वेस्ट कि दिस इज वन फोरम दैट वी शुड नॉट मिस, और इसके अंदर जाके हम और कुछ नहीं तो बाहर जो इवनिंग्स में और आफ्टरनून में आफ्टर द कॉन्फ्रेंस इज ओवर, लॉट ऑफ आइडियाज आर डिस्कस BRI वाइज। तो 3 ऑप्शंस हैं। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल वी फॉर्म अ ग्रुप और उसके हम कुछ रिसर्च पे काम कर लें जो कि बहुत ही प्रैग्मेटिक और फॉरवर्ड लुकिंग हो। ऐसे नहीं हो कि मतलब जनरली हायर देन माउंटेन्स एंड डीपर देन ओशन नहीं चले, को नए आइडियाज लेके जाए, चाहे उसके अंदर कल्चरल एस्पेक्ट हो, चाहे पॉलिटिकल एस्पेक्ट हो, या टेक्नोलॉजी एस्पेक्ट हो। ये 3 एरिया। दूसरा ये कि अगर वो फेल होता है हमारी एफर्ट टू गो देयर एज पार्ट ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट थिंक टैंक, और इस पे आप एक लेटर लिख सकते हैं और हम फॉरम फॉर्म कर सकते हैं। दूसरा ये कि हम प्राइवेटली जा सकते हैं और उस पर भी हम काम कर सकते हैं, वी कैन टॉक टू, और अगर आप चाहें और सम ऑफ द अदर पीपल, आई थिंक आई एंड डॉक्टर ताहिर एंड योरसेल्फ एंड परहैप्स and I see Dr. Irfa Iqbal here. I think उनकी भी उनका विजन भी यूज करते हुए हम प्राइवेटली भी जा सकते हैं, और मैं बात कर सकता हूँ कोई चाइनीज ट्रैवल एजेंसी से कि हमें कोई और इल्म के असूल के लिए वहां पे जाके फुटपाथ पे रह लेंगे, उसमें क्या। तो वो तो जी आई थिंक बहुत पॉसिबिलिटीज आर देयर। तो अगर हमारा पहला एग्जॉस्ट होता है तो हम दूसरी प्राइवेटली भी इसको एंगेज करें कि जी हम ये अटेंड करना चाहते हैं। और आप इस सिलसिले में आई वुड रिक्वेस्ट कि आप लीड ले लें, लोगों से नाम ले लें, मेरा नाम आप इमीडिएटली लिख लें, ताहिर मुमताज का जबरदस्ती लिख लें, जेब से इससे पैसे खर्च कराएं, और इसने बहुत लंबी तकरीर की है। तो इनसे इनका नाम लिखें। वो और भी जो भी हमारे कॉलीग्स हैं जो वॉलंटियर हैं जाना चाहते हैं, तो हम एक आप इसको गवर्नमेंट लेवल पे और प्राइवेट लेवल पे हम करते हैं। लेट्स गो देयर एंड मेक आवर मार्क कि हम लोग हैं और एक जिंदा कौम है और एक बड़ी लर्नेड कौम है। आई थिंक वी कैन डू दैट।
सर एम्बेसडर ने लास्ट मीटिंग में नॉन्ग रॉन्ग मिस्टर हिज एक्सीलेंसी जो था नॉन्ग रॉन्ग, उसने बेसिकली इसको डिस्कस भी किया था, और वो एक्सपेक्ट भी कर रहे हैं कि हमारे
बस वो डिस्कस करने के बाद फौरन वापस चला गया।
वो
तो मेरा ख्याल है हम उन पे वो डिस्कस करते ही उसने फ्लाइट पकड़ी और वापस चला गया कि कहीं हम उसके पास चले ना जाए कि पैसे दो और हमने जाना है। तो उससे छोड़े सर इनको। आई थिंक कि हम खुद भी कर सकते हैं, हमारे पास सबके पास सोर्सेज हैं। आई टेल यू, आई प्रॉमिस यू वन थिंग, आप इस फोरम को या बाव फोरम को एक दफा अटेंड करें, आपके पास इतनी नॉलेज आ जाएगी। बाव फोरम आई इंसिस्ट कि आप वो भी अटेंड करें और पैसे खर्च करके करें। आपके पास इतनी इंफॉर्मेशन और नॉलेज आ जाएगी कि उसको आप कैश करा के यू कैन मेक डबल द अमाउंट ऑफ मनी। आई प्रॉमिस यू दैट, आई प्रॉमिस यू दैट।
Thank you.
I'm sorry for my always the straightforward candid approach on, because I'm a project management specialist. हमें एम्बेसी की तरफ देखना कम करना चाहिए। जितना आप एम्बेसी की तरफ कम देखेंगे वो आपकी तरफ ज्यादा देखेंगे अगर आपकी क्वालिटी वर्क होगा। ये मेरा आपसे प्रॉमिस। दे नीड यू मोर देन वी नीड देम। हम हर दफा जाते हैं हिज एक्सीलेंसी, तो ये बस करें हमारे पास आने दें, हम भी हिज एक्सीलेंसी बन जाए। Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hassan, for your candid suggestions. More direct and more honest also. और ये जो विजडम है इसके साथ मैं वैसे कंक्लूड भी करूंगा कि लो हैंगिंग फ्रूट से जो है ना आप व्हाटएवर इज लाइंग ऑन द ग्राउंड उसको पैक कर लें। So this is basically a good suggestion and I think a new wisdom from your side. This is the second time I am hearing from you. So okay, thank you very much all of you for your valuable suggestions, for your insights, for sharing your experiences. I think this is the first kind of webinar on the matter. I think we will have more extensive activities we have planned ahead, so we will engage you all. I think you can also engage us, it's not a one way.
लियाकत भाई सबसे पहले ये I just saw शाजिया गनी also here. इसको बोले ना प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफिस में कोई फंड क्रिएट करे, प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफिस में।
So I think if Shazia is there, I think Dr. Shazia, if you are there, I would love to listen to you, तो है, लेकिन वो डॉक्टर शाजिया जो है वो खुद भी सीपेक के साथ काफी अरसे से रिलेटेड है और उसका भी एक इनसाइट है। वो कहते हैं ना फ्रॉम इनसाइड, वो सीपेक को अच्छी तरह जानती है। तो मेरे ख्याल में अनलकीली वी डोंट हैव द the opportunity to listen to her, but anyway सर इसको हम कंक्लूड करते हैं। तो ये हमारा बेसिकली जो बड़े जो सजेशंस आए इसमें से, इन सजेशन को हम इस तरह करें, कंपाइल करके फिर आपके साथ शेयर भी करेंगे अगर आप फर्दर उसमें ऐड करना चाहें, क्योंकि हम एक ये जो नॉलेज पार्टनरशिप की हमने बात की इसको हम आगे लेके जाना चाह रहे हैं। रीजन इज सेकंड फेज ऑफ सीपेक जो है ये नॉलेज एक्सटेंसिव है, पीपल सेंट्रिक है। जिस तरह मुस्तफ़ा साहब ने भी कहा कि ये जो है ना सॉफ्ट कनेक्टिविटी है, तो सॉफ्ट कनेक्टिविटी के लिए नॉलेज शेयरिंग और स्किल ये सारी चीज़ें जो है ना उसमें फिर आ जाती है। तो इस लिहाज से जो है ना अभी जो है ना फर्स्ट फेज में भी ज़रूरत थी, लेकिन अब इस फेज में ज़रूरत उससे बहुत ज़्यादा है फर्स्ट फेज से, क्योंकि इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोजेक्ट में वी आर वेल वर्स विद इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोजेक्ट, वी नो हाउ टू इम्प्लीमेंट दिस प्रोजेक्ट। हमारे पास ज़बरदस्त NHA भी है, PPIB भी है, तो ये प्रोजेक्ट करते आ रहे हैं, तो इसमें हमारा एक्सपीरियंस होता है। लेकिन ये जो इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन है, साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी और जो बाकी सब्जेक्ट्स हैं जो सेकंड फेज में हमने इनको जो है ना इंक्लूड किया है, तो इसके लिए जो है ना ज़्यादातर पीपल टू पीपल कनेक्टिविटी, स्किल्स रिक्वायरमेंट और नॉलेज जो है ना शेयरिंग बहुत ज़रूरी है। तो इस लिहाज से रोल ऑफ थिंक टैंक जो है ना वो काफ़ी बढ़ गया है। तो इंशाल्लाह हम आपस में मिलके इसी तरह एक फोरम बना लेंगे। अच्छी सजेशन आ गए हैं इसी को लेके, और फर्दर भी अगर आपके पास और आइडिया है तो काइंडली वो शेयर करें, ताकि इसको हम एक रोबस्ट फोरम बनाएं और उसके ऊपर जाना फिर आगे काम करें। और सेकंड फेज ऑफ सीपेक की जितनी भी अनटेंडेड ऑब्जेक्टिव हुए हैं, जब अगर एकेडमिशियंस को अगर हम पॉलिसी रिसर्चर ना बनाएं या इसमें इन्वॉल्व न करे, तो आई थिंक हम अपने जो अचीवमेंट्स है वो फिर जो ऑब्जेक्टिव्स है वो फिर अचीव नहीं कर पाएंगे। तो इसी के साथ मैं आप सबका वंस अगेन शुक्रिया अदा करता हूँ, और लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड टू वंडरफुल अदर सजेशंस आल्सो जो आपकी तरफ से हैं, तो काइंडली शेयर करें एंड वी विल बी इन टच वेरी सून। और एक बार इससे पहले कि मैं ख़त्म करूँ, एक और चीज़ जो है ना, एक वर्कशॉप का भी हमने एक प्रोग्राम बनाया है, तो इंशाल्लाह सून हम एक वर्कशॉप, 1 डे वर्कशॉप करेंगे। सोच रहा हूँ कि एक अच्छी सी जगह पे करके सब इकट्ठे हो जाए, वहाँ फिजिकली इन पर्सन हम ये सारी चीज़ें डिस्कस करें। प्लान हमने बनाया है, तो इंशाल्लाह सून वी विल बी शेयरिंग द डेट और द वेन्यू with all of you. Thank you.